Reasonable citizens, you are gathered here to determine the guilt or innocence of the accused. You have been charged with breaking Rational Speech Code 4462, an offense punishable by exile. How do you plead?
I have spoken the truth, which I cannot in good conscience keep to myself. If the truth violates your law, then your questioning is just for show.
Don't test my patience. How do you plead?
I am guilty by your standards, and yet have done nothing wrong.
My report says that you were carrying on, in the public sphere, about the existence of the spiritual self. What evidence do you have to support the existence of anything outside of the natural, material world?
Do you dispute that human beings are capable of making decisions?
No, of course humans make decisions.
How could that be true unless there's an immaterial component to our consciousness?
What do you mean by that?
If our conscious minds are merely the products of electrochemical reactions in our brains, then free will is merely an illusion. If our behavior is controlled by our brains, and our brains are controlled by the electrochemical reactions occurring within them, and the electrochemical reactions are a response to our eyes and ears sensing changes in our environment, then our behavior is predetermined for us by environmental factors. Unless there's an uncaused, immaterial element to us capable of initiating a thought, we are inevitably robots, running predetermined behavioral programs that merely react to the world around us. You claim to believe behavior is freely initiated by individuals. But how can this be if our brains are nothing more than organic computers? Computers cannot initiate actions that have not been pre-programmed into them by an external source. How can you claim I've knowingly broken one of your laws if my brain simply responds to the environment and tells my body to behave in an evolutionarily determined way? How can I be guilty if my brain forced me to do what I did?
That is not a valid argument, even if human brains are controlled by chemicals released in them during environmental changes. People must choose to rise above their natural impulses in order to live in a society with one another.
May I ask, then, if the conscious mind is merely the natural byproduct of adrenaline, dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin being released in the brain, how do you propose we rise above changes in our brain chemistry? These chemicals are automatically released during certain environmental and social situations. How can the average person choose to rise above the effects of chemical changes in their brain if those chemical changes are what caused them to think and behave the way they do in the first place? Unless there's something more to the mind, something not caused by predetermined physical reactions, we cannot even theoretically make a decision that has not been pre-programmed into our brains. And therefore we cannot choose to act lawfully or unlawfully, and cannot be expected to take responsibility for the way our brains react to situations.
You have broken city law. You must pay for your subversion.
If you are going to charge me with any crime, you must first prove that human beings have free will. If consciousness is just an illusion caused by chemicals in our brains, then there's no way for me to do anything other than what my brain was pre-programmed to do. Punishing machines for doing what they are wired to do is not justice.
That is ridiculous. Humans make decisions all of the time.
If that's true, what physical part of the brain initiates those decisions? Unless there's a non-physical component to human consciousness, which allows people to make choices that are not determined by external forces, you cannot tell people how to act, because they can only follow their genetic and social programming. But if our decisions actually originate from some immaterial mind, independent of the physical structure of the brain, we could actually choose to do what was right or wrong. Unless we have an immaterial mind, we only think we are free.
My logic set has not been programmed to consider the philosophical problems associated with the purely physical model of the human brain. This system, therefore, finds you guilty by default. You will be immediately exiled to the Warren. Have a nice day.